Hello, welcome back to Data Engineer YouTube channel. So let's get started with the project 2, which is again based on ETL. So let us talk about the architecture of this project. So we will have an Excel file again uploaded to a blob storage. Then what we will do is we will perform some ETL operations using Data Factory just in a similar manner we performed in our project 1 also. So what we will do is, I'll tell you, I have Excel. Now in this Excel we have data of various people in a company. So people are from IT department, finance department, sales department, accounting, and so on. You can see multiple departments. Now what we need to do is we need to filter out only those employees whose department is IT. So we will do this using the Data Factory. So we will perform some ETL operations which I told you recently, and then we will dump it in the form of Excel file only. Okay, so this will be the architecture of our today's project. Now we should learn multiple architecture so that like we are very good at the Data Factory. So I will be making more project on these parts, so stay tuned with us. Now let's get started with the project. Okay, so I'm just starting from scratch. Even I will be creating the Data Factory from scratch, so don't worry if you are new to Data Factory even. So we will create everything from scratch. Now we are at the portal of Azure. So this is how it looks like. I have a student subscription. So we have something called Azure for Students, free of cost subscription. So now in a subscription we can create resource group. Now what is a resource group? It's a combination of multiple resources. Now the question is, what is a resource? Resource can be anything, either it's a storage account or a SQL database or virtual machine or app service. It can be anything. And collection of different resources is present in a resource group. So one resource group can have multiple resources. So what's the hierarchy? We have a subscription. One subscription can have multiple resource groups. Inside each resource group there can be multiple resources. So this is how Azure work. Now what we need to do is, obviously I need to create a new resource group. Even if I don't create a resource group, if I simply want to create a Data Factory, firstly what it will say is, if I just click on create Data Factory, internally it will ask me to create a resource group. Just see, as I don't have any resource group, no items are available, I am eventually creating a resource group. Let me name the resource group as parent. Just a tree hierarchy. So I created a resource group called parent. Now I want to create the name of Data Factory. So what I will name is, I can just name it anything. Factory development Okay, so I will name the Data Factory. So let me just name it as Data Factory Development Environment. Now I need to tell the region, in which region my Data Factory should be there. So it's already taken. So what I will do is, I'll just append some numbers so that it is not taken. Alright, it should not be taken, I guess. Yeah. Now we need to tell the region, in which region our Data Factory should be present, right? So we know it's a cloud storage, it's a cloud thing. So whatever region we choose, in that particular region's data center our data will be present, right? Now let me just press Central India. Based on project requirement we select the region. Now we have two versions. Version 1 is already deprecated, so it's not showing V1. So we have only V2 version of Data Factory as of now. Alright, now Git configuration is optional. You can do it now also, afterwards also. You can refer to my playlist to know how we can configure Data Factory with the Git. Now I'm not doing it, not required. So what we will do is, I'll just click on review and create, and it will start a validation check. It's passed. That means I can successfully create a Data Factory. Once I click on create button, my deployment will start and a Data Factory will be created in the internal servers of Azure. Now what we need to do is, we need also a storage to store our Excel files. So what I will do is, I will go to Blob Storage. I need to create a storage account. So I will click on storage account. We're gonna click on create again, And now once we click on create storage account or create button, it will load. It's taking a bit time. Alright, so let us wait for it. Okay, so now again in the same resource group I am creating this storage account. I will click on review and basically it failed the validation check. So let me just go to basics. I just missed something. Okay, I just missed the name of the storage account. So let me just name it as development environment, and let me just name it 5555, something like this. It can only contain lowercase and numbers between 3 and something. So I have named it as development environment 55. Alright, so we have two performance criteria, standard and premium. Premium is recommended for the low latency, or whenever you are in production you can use premium. We will go for standard, so we will just click on review. Now it's again doing a validation check, and if it is passed you can just click on create. Now what we created is we created two resources in resource group. Those two resources are what? Data Factory and Blob Storage. Alright, now it's happening again. It's deployment is happening, so let us wait for the deployment. Alright, so now if I go to this resource group, I have a resource called parent. Inside this resource I will be having two resources. One is Data Factory and one will be the Blob Storage, which is still deploying. So if I now refresh, it will again come here because it's already deployed now. So let me just refresh it and show you how it looks like. Alright, so yeah, it didn't happen. So let me just again go to home. It just need a refresh. I'll go to parent, and now you can see two things. One is the Data Factory and another is the storage account. Now our environment is set up, and now let's get started with the main project. So I will go to development environment to store my file. What I will do here is I will just click on container. In the container I will create a container. So I will just name it as dev. Okay, and I will just click on create. So a dev container is created. Alright, and I will also create another container called production, and I will click on create. I have two containers, dev and production, and one more folder I will create as source. Okay, source. I'll let you know why I have created three folders, but you need to create this as I taught in this video, right? Now what we need to do is we need to click on source. Once we click on source, we need to click on upload, and we need to upload an Excel file. Now that Excel file, this Excel file you will find in the video description. You can check it out and it will be present there. I will press the upload button and this file is successfully uploaded. Right? I will close the notification, and now I will again go to home. I will now open my Data Factory. I will just click on this Data Factory. Now I will click on Launch Studio. It will show me the GUI phase of the Azure Data Factory. So Azure Data Factory is very simple. It's a GUI based application. You just need to know the basics and then you are good to go. Alright, so as soon as Data Factory is open, this is a newly created Data Factory. You will find nothing. It's all empty. Number one thing you require is integration runtime. Automatically, whenever you create a Data Factory, you automatically get a integration runtime, which is auto resolve integration runtime. We will be using this integration runtime only. So basically, main purpose of integration runtime is what? Just to give the processing power to whatever ETL operation we perform in the Data Factory. Once this integration runtime is created, or you can even create a new one for you. We are using the built-in. We need to go to link service. Now what is a link service? It's a connection basically between Data Factory and whatever resource you want. For example, our Excel file is situated where? In the blob storage. So to create a connection of your data factory with the blob storage, you need what? A link service. Similar way, if you want to, fetch data from SQL DB or Oracle DB, you need to create different link service for them, right? So let me click on link service. We will click on create link service. Once I click on create link service, what I want, where I want to create a connection, I want to create a connection with the blob storage. So what I will do is I will click on Azure Blob Storage, will press continue. I'll just name as the link service as Azure Blob Storage LS link service. You can even give description, but I'm not doing that. Now you need to authenticate. So how you can authenticate? Basically, what are the credentials of your blob storage? Now, because blob storage is also a product of Azure, so automatically what we will do is we will be using the connection string from Azure subscription, and authentication time you can just what I will do is basically I will skip the authentication type as of now. It's not compulsory. I will say from Azure subscription only you take the storage account, so it will automatically detect. The reason being it's a inside the environment of our Azure only, right? Now I will click on test connection. If my test succeed, that means my connection is successfully created. If it fails, that means the connection is not created, and you need to figure out why the connection is not created. If you follow the steps correctly, you will eventually create a link service. Now we need to click on create button. Once you click on create button, your link service is successfully created. Now we will proceed further with the actual data factory, which we will go to author part. In the author part, we can see different things: Power Query, data flows, dataset, pipeline. As of now, what we did, we created a link service. Before that, we created an integration runtime. So base is integration runtime. Then comes the link service. Now we need to need the schemas of all the tables which we require. We only have one table, which is our Excel, right? The schema of this table is what? The heading, right? So whatever is the heading, basically your EEID, full name, job title, all this is the schema of this particular table. Now data sets are used to store the schema of the table. So firstly we'll create data set. Data flows are basically used to internally modify the data. To perform the actual ETL, we use data flows. Then we will create data flow, and on the top of it we will create a pipeline. So pipeline is something which is used for the data movement, or you can even trigger your data flows and Power Query using the pipeline. Power Query is similar to data flow, but you can perform more complex operations, just like rank, dense rank, you must have heard in SQL. So more complex operations can be performed in Power Query. And finally, it can also be used in what? Pipeline. So let's start with the data sets. So what are data sets? Basically the schema. So what I will do is I'll click on data set, I'll click on new data set, I'll select, okay, I want a blob storage data set, okay. What I have is I actually have an Excel file. So I'll click on continue. Now I will say employee dataset. Okay, I'll tell the link service so that it can connect with my data. So what I will do is I need to tell the path where my actual file is. I will give click on basically this folder icon. I'll click on source and I'll click on employee sample data. I'll press OK, and then here you will see sheet name. So if your Excel have multiple sheets, all the sheets will be shown here. I have only single sheet in my Excel file, so it's loading. Internally it's scanning the file, and eventually you will see my sheet name here. So let's wait for it. Alright, so now you can see employee sample data. This is my sheet name. I selected it and I press the OK button. Once we do it, we will successfully create a employee dataset which consists the schema, right? So now this is my data set. Even now in the data set itself, I will tell that yeah, my first row is a header. So I'll take it so that it consider my first row as a header. Now I will click on preview data. Once I do that, you will be able to see data if everything is successful. Let's check it out. Yeah, we are able to see that data. Now we are basically able to see our table, which we need to where we need to perform some operations. Now what we need to do is basically we have done everything, so everything is clear. Our data set is created. We need to go to schema, and basically I click on import schema from connection store. Connection store means from your live data it will import the schema. So earlier it was having some wrong schema. Now once I clicked on import schema, it will import all the column names. So everything is fine. I can publish it. Now what is publish? If I click on this publish button, all my changes will be permanent. If I don't click on publish and accidentally I click on this reload button, all the changes will be vanished off. So you need to make sure whenever you click on whenever you are creating something, you make sure you publish it, right? Now our data set is finally created. What we need to do next? We need to create a data flow. So I will click on data flow. I will click on new data flow. So here I want to give that source as what? Source is my Excel file. So I'll just name, I don't want to name it source one, I'll name it as source. Okay, I'll provide the data set, which is employee data set. Now what we have is basically I'll just click on data flow debug. Now what is data flow debug? It's the processing power which Azure gives us to debug our different stages of the data flow. Now if you go to these three dots and data preview, so our data flow debug is turning on. Once it is on, so now it's on, I guess. Still it's loading. Now it's on. So we can just click on refresh, and it will show us the data, current data of the source. Now it will only consist of top 1000 rows, not more than that. Just because it's for sampling, just for testing, yeah, that whatever ETL operation we are performing is working correctly or not. Now you must be thinking that it's a very easy operation. You just need to select IT department or something like that. It's not the case in reality. What happens is we have billions, trillions of rows, and in those situations we use data factory, and in those cases it's very tedious work, or you can say it takes a lot of processing to do so. So yeah, in real life situations we can find these scenarios. Now you can see all the data can be seen here in the data preview. Now what I will do is I'll click on this plus icon, because I only want those rows which are of IT department, like all the people who work in IT department. So what I will do is I have something called row modifier, and I have something called filter. I will apply a filter. I'll name it as anything, filter for IT department, something like this. Now it will ask us like basically name provided contains invalid characters, so we can't put space. So what I will do is I will remove all the space. Alright, now what I will do is I need to click on filter on. So let me just show you the Excel again. So we need to filter on department, where department name is what? IT. So what I will do is I'll scroll down a bit, or I will scroll it up. Now I will click on open expression builder. It helps us a lot in creating expressions, right? Now I want what? I want an equal operation, so I write equals. It will auto complete. You just need to press the tab button. So here I will tell, okay, so what I want, what it should be equal to, it should be equal to IT. What should be equal to IT? My column name. Which column name? Department column name. So what I will do is I will click on input schema, and I will select department, and there we go. Save and finish. Okay, so now I'm not sure whether it will work actually or not. So I'll click on data purview and I'll click on refresh. Let us see, it will give a sample, but yeah, we will be able to know, yeah, that our sample is correct or not. Based on that, we can assume that all the entire data flow will be correct. So let's wait. It's fetching our data. Yeah. So you can see all the people are from IT department only. So only I am able to see IT, nothing else, right? Alright. So what we need to do is, it is fine, it's perfect. Now we want to sync this data. So what I will do is, I'll click on plus icon. There is something called sync. I'll click on sync. Now, I'll click on the sync. Now in sync also, we need to provide a data set, but we haven't created any data set for sync. So what we need to do is, we need to create a new data set. So I will click on new, I'll click on blob storage, we'll click on continue. I want to store this as an Excel or CSV, so I will select CSV. So these are the different paths where you can store your data, right? So even in the previous project we stored the data in the Parquet form. Now we will use CSV. We'll click on continue and I'll just say final data set. Like whatever final data is there, it will be stored here. That schema is present. Now I need to tell the folder where should I store it. So what I will do is, I'll click on browse. I just want to store it in dev environment. So I'll it automatically give the path dev slash whatever is the path name. Like I want to name it as final, okay, and I'll press OK. Once we press OK, it's giving an error because blob is missing, because I wrote final here. I will not write final here as of now, I will write it afterwards. Just see how. Now everything is fine. I need to make sure I go to final and I will paste the name here. Okay, something like this. Otherwise, the data will be a bit scattered. You will see some scattered files. Now, what we need to do is, this is our data flow. I don't like the name of the data flow, so what I will do is, I'll say ETL operation. Right? We performed the ETL operation. So I'll name it as ETL operation. Now, everything is perfect. I'll go to sync once. I'll review it. Everything is fine or not. So just see, I guess from this part everything is fine. And now what we will do is, so just see, here we have something called in the settings file name option. Will not, it is as of now what? Default. And I want output to single file. Means there should be the output to a single file. My data should be stored in a single file, right? Not in scattered files. What I want is, I want to name my file name as final only. Just what I wrote in the data set, that only I will paste here. So I write final. Okay. Now what I will do is, I need to set single partition. Otherwise it will give error. So you can either do it from here, or you can click on optimize and you can click on single partition. The efficiency of single partition is a bit less compared to current partitioning or the other partitioning schemes. But still, if you want to do output to a single file, you need to compulsory select single partition. Now I will publish everything, and yeah, this part is done. We are done with the data flow creation. Now the question is, how I can use this data flow? So for that, we need to create a pipeline. Alright. So the next step is, we will be creating a pipeline by clicking on the icon and new pipeline. So once I click up, create a pipeline, I will search for, data flow. So I am saying that I have a data flow and I want to execute that data flow. So in this data flow, what I will say is, I will say ETL. So it's performing some ETL. So I name it as ETL. You can name it anything. In settings, you need to select which data flow you want to execute. Okay, I have only single data flow, ETL operation. I want to execute that data flow. Okay, so which type of computation it should use? It should use which integration runtime, auto resolve only. Compute size should be small. I don't want it big. logging level should be verbose, basic or none. Verbose means it will have a in-depth error detail and logging. If I go for basic, it will have basic level of logging of errors and everything. If I go for none, which is very efficient, it will log nothing, but it's a bit risky. So according to your need, you can do that. I will click on parameters. So there is no parameter as of now, right? Now the question is, if I just show you the blob storage, if you remember in the initial phase of the video, I created some containers. I created three containers, one for source, one is development and one is production. I want that whenever I run this pipeline, I will tell that just run it for development and my file should be inside the development environment. If I execute it and I say that hey, just run this pipeline for production, it should go inside production environment. So how can I do that? So this can be done with the help of parameters. So what I need to do is I will click on parameter. Okay, so basically firstly what I will do is I will just open it. I will go to the dataset first. So we know whatever final dataset we have, as of now, dev is hard-coded. Means whatever sync will go is basically this is the final dataset. So here, if we write dev, that means it will go to which environment? Development environment, right? But sometimes I want dev, sometimes I want what? Production. How can I do that? I'll create a parameter and I will say path. Parameter name is path, and default value we can give is dev. Okay, that if no value is given, you go for dev, right? And we have two values, dev and production. Now what I will do is I'll go to connection, I'll click here and I will say add dynamic content, and I will go to parameters and I will click on path and press OK. That means now based on the parameter it will decide. So in parameter if we will write dev, so here dev will be written. If in parameter we write production, here production will be written, and we are able to make this thing dynamic in nature. Now when I did this change here, I need to go to ETL operation and check whether everything is fine or not. In sync, if everything is fine, let me just check. Alright, so everything seems fine, and there is no need of any parameter, right? So what I will do is I will click on pipeline 1. Now in pipeline 1, what I will do is if I go to journal, okay, let me just close this so that you are able to see it clearly. So just see, if I click on this and I go to settings, now it is asking me, okay, you use something called a parameter, okay, in this data flow or the dataset. So what are the values? Okay, here also I don't want to tell what are the values. I will create a parameter in pipeline also. So what I will do is I will click on parameter new one and I will say path. Again default value I will give dev here, and I will say okay. So to execute this again, whatever parameter my this basically pipeline parameter have, use that. So I will again set the parameters. Now what? I set the parameters. I will click on validate. So if there is any error, it will show me here. Otherwise, it will not show. Now, basically, why these parameters came was because sync1 linked service and sync1 parameter have some parameter value. So remember in datasets we created parameter. So if in datasets we created parameter, these datasets are being referenced by this data flow, and this data flow is referenced by this pipeline. We are executing this data flow. Then obviously we need to pass this parameter. So once what we did is in pipeline 1 what we did was, in pipeline 1 we created another parameter again whose name was path, and we passed that parameter here. So now you must think like where we should put the final value. So don't worry, I'll let you know how where to put the final value. Now what I will do is I will click on trigger, and I will click on trigger now. But trigger now will not work because it only works when we click on publish and everything is published. Firstly I will publish. If you want to just test, you can go for debug. It will again work without publishing anything. Okay, so I want to use trigger, so I will click on trigger now. Okay, so just a second, it will ask me for the path. I want that for production it should happen. So I'll write production, and I will press OK button. Now I'll click on view pipeline run, or simply I can go to monitor section, my pipeline runs, and then I can click on trigger or debug, whatever you have done. We have done trigger, so it is here. So status is in progress, means our pipeline is working and doing the work of ETL. So let's wait for it to be successful or wait for it to get failed, right? Currently it is in progress. Either it will fail or it will get success. So let's see. So finally, after 4 minutes and 42 seconds, it succeeded. It will take a bit time because we are using small compute. If you will take a big computing power, it will happen in seconds. Now once we are done in this, we will go to our the container, and let's see in production whether this file is created or not. Yes, we are able to see this file. Now what I will do is I'll click on this file. I want to read this file. So basically what I will do is I'll download it. Alright, now once I download it, I'll click on show in folder, and you will see this file. I'll rename it. I need to rename it, and I will name it as final.csv. So extension you need to put yourself. Once I put the extension, it will be created, and this is the file. And here you go. You can see that only you are able to see IT department records, nothing else, right? So these all are the IT department records. So there are total of 241 records, which is absolutely correct, and all are of IT department only. So this is how basically ETL operation work in Data Factory. I hope you find this video useful. Now you must be thinking like how to save these things. So what we can do is, if I click on these 3 dots and if I click on the download button, so if I click on this pipeline 3 dots and I click on download support files, so what will happen is it will create a zip containing all the objects in the form of JSON. So if at the top right you can see JSON thing. So whatever you use in UI is created into a JSON format, and this can be used. Even you can use this to again create a data factory. You can configure it with Git. There are a lot of things which you can do in data factory. For more such detailed videos, do subscribe my channel. Make sure you can watch the entire playlist. If you have already watched the playlist, you can wait for me for creating further new projects on Data Factory. We'll see you soon. Till then, bye bye, take care, and happy learning. Bye.